Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. This is episode 107, lucky 107. And today with me, I have my wonderful co-host. I have Too Tall for You Fool. Hey, Justin, how you doing down there? And you're muted. And Matt Bliss, welcome back to the podcast, sir. How are you doing today, sir?
Great. Thank you. Levels. Sorry, we were messing with microphones before the start of the recording, and I was going to break everything. So we're back to good old reliable. Yeah, I'm great. Doing great.
I love it. And Too Tall, I'm sorry. What were you saying as you were muted? We saw a lot of lips moving, but nothing coming out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but your gain sounds like it's up a lot.
All right, I'll fix that. Just give me a minute.
All right. While we are fixing mic issues and all this stuff, let's go ahead and just go over some of the basic intro stuff that we like to get out of the way. So once again, thank you for watching the Game and Watch podcast. For those people watching, we're available on a lot of different listening platforms. So wherever you want to listen to us, you absolutely can. Other than that, let's see. You can email us at Game and Watch Podcast. Let's see. Let's go ahead and mute that for a second. Let's see. You can email us at gameandwatchpodcast@gmail.com with any questions or comments. And if you're watching live, you can definitely write in to the show and just chill with us, talk with us. And if there's anything relevant that you write during the show, we will read it during the show. But even at the end of the show, we like to highlight comments in in our little section. I always forget what it's called. Gaming chat live or something, or whatever that may be. And then other than that, we have a lot of video games to talk about today. So before we get into the games, Mr. Matt Bliss, hey sir, how's the Dead Drop podcast been going, and what have you been playing, my friend?
It's actually been going really good. We recently did a bit of a rebrand on the episodes. For anyone watching who isn't familiar, I do the Dead Drop podcast. It's 10 minutes of video game news twice a week. Nice and truncated, really succinct and digestible. But, we did a bit of a rebrand. We've changed the logo and I've changed the episode thumbnails and played with a few of the setup things. It's going really good. We've got a very tight-knit group of people that keep coming back for the episodes, which I always love to see. And we may be expanding into a couple of extra things. I actually released a spoiler cast for Inscription with one of my good high school friends a little while ago as a little bonus episode kind of thing. And we may look at doing a few more. I'm kind of looking at you to see what you're playing at the moment, and maybe we can unwrap some cool mysteries that are happening in games.
That sounds good to me, and that sounds awesome. I can't wait to listen and watch and hear what you're doing next. That's amazing. And
Cheers.
cheers. Let's see. And Too Tall is still working out a couple things with his mic, but in terms of myself, I'm playing nothing too crazy. In my free time, I'm playing Hot Wheels Unleashed. And that's like, I love that because I can jump into a match or whatever, or a race, I should say. And then it takes me just a couple minutes to get first, and then I can jump off. So I love the quick nature of that. The game is, once again, I've already mentioned this, Hot Wheels Unleashed is heavily microtransaction focused.
It
And
really
I think,
is.
that's probably the downside about it. And they just gave it away for free on PlayStation Plus currently, I believe, for this month. So if you have PlayStation Plus, it's an easy download, and it is a fun game, but it's not too hard either. So yeah,
No,
it is
I
what it
actually got to dive in it a little bit, maybe a month ago. I think it came in the Humble Choice bundle for PC, and you're right. But I got to tell you
is.
that loot box animation,
Yeah.
it's utterly deplorable. But boy,
Yeah.
is it great to watch those boxes explode.
And
It's a
then
good time.
I'm also playing God of War, the first one, not Ragnarok, not in that yet, obviously, because it's not out yet. But Sounds good, Jay, man. We'll see you in a moment. Yeah, so I'm also playing God of War, and yeah, like it's so bad. Like I'm so bad. Like I think I'm gonna just drop it down to easy. Like I'm playing on normal right now, and I just keep on getting mowed down by like regular enemies. I'm just like my dodge and parry game is not on point right now.
That's
Um,
okay. That's okay. Like when you get into it's a very tight battle loop. It's really satisfying. But once you get
mhm.
into the groove, you can feel more comfortable with, upping it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's the way to go. But yeah, other than that, things have been well, just doing the weekly podcast, hanging out, with the kids and family and all that good stuff. And yeah, just happy to have you on an episode. It's been a minute.
Cheers, man. I actually, as you were explaining the games, I realized I didn't say any games, but I know we'd had a brief kind of wrap up before this episode too. I
Hmm.
actually finished Slay the Spire on Switch last night, which, if you know, that game gets hard at the end. It's really hard. Like it's run based. It's playing cards to fight enemies and random encounters, random drops. Very heavy RNG kind of game.
Yeah.
But with the very last character you play, the the gameplay loop is really hard to manage, and even if you're fully tapped into it, you can get right to the very last boss of the game, and your time just gets completely ruined. It's
Oh man.
yeah, but I finally did it last night. That's like a bucket list
There
box
you go.
ticked.
Check it off.
So yeah. So for those of you who know, Slay the Spire. Oh, finally finished it.
So it just peaks at the very end, and it's like one of those ones. It's like, wait, where did this difficulty come from?
Yeah, there was a few games that came out this year that were very Souls-like. I think that had reflected that kind of nature. You have a very easy time through the game. You kind of stroll through it, and you're like, yeah, sure, this feels good. And then you hit the boss, and it ramps up real hard. And you almost with Slay the Spire, because it's run based, you have to go through the entire game to get to that boss again. And
Yeah.
not only do you have to pray that the RNG is tapped in just right for your strategy, but you have to make sure that you don't encounter too many enemies that take too much of your health, that you're at risk of death.
Hmm.
And you kind of have to plan from the very beginning how you're going to approach the entire, essentially 4 runs that you do. Oh, it's like playing 4D chess. It's difficult, but really satisfying. It's actually a
Well,
great game.
yeah. Regardless, you got that check off your bucket list.
Yep.
And Too Tall for Youthful. Welcome back, my friend. How are you doing? Let me hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, and you
Indeed.
sound so much better. Yes.
I don't know. I guess Matt Bliss comes back, and next thing you know, I do one tweak, and then everything just goes haywire.
Yeah.
But
I should stay away more often, maybe. The podcast will continue to
no,
run
no, no,
smoothly. There'll be
no,
no
no,
issues.
no, no. You're good, dude. No, it's just no. I've missed you. It's been a minute since I've last talked to you. I mean, you helped me out when I was out of town. Thank you very much for that.
That's all good.
Um, yeah. So, but what's going on with me? Not too much. Just working as usual and playing some games. I posted an article in the Discord this week about a guy, Mikey Mike or Mike Mikey. I think
Oh,
that's his Twitter handle. He did I guess on Super Mario Maker 2, he made the
oh
game
yeah.
Super Mario Brothers 5. So I've been playing a little bit of that. It's a interesting game for the most part. He did a very good job. A lot of puzzle levels, a lot of good levels. The only complaint I have so far is not enough power ups throughout the levels. So it's like just a lot of just mushrooms here and there. And I think I've had like maybe a cape once or
I
something.
think the interesting question that I want to ask with that
Mm.
is it like, is there a copyright issue if you remake one of Nintendo's games inside a Nintendo game? And does it have to be
Mm.
just different enough that it doesn't have all the powers you want?
I don't think so. I mean, it's Nintendo putting it out, so
Yeah,
essentially they would have to sue themselves. I don't know, but I mean,
I
that's what I
think the
want to see.
only if you can sell it, I think that would be the only time you would see
yeah,
an issue. It's like, oh, I'm selling my level, but they don't allow that for in game.
no,
So
no,
yeah.
no,
That's
they
true.
don't. So So yeah, I've been playing a little bit of that. It's pretty good. I mean, if you well, Matt, you have a Switch. I mean, definitely if you like playing platformer games like that, Mario Maker 2, that's a good one. And then another game I've been playing. Oh yes, yes, yes. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Another game I've been playing, Xenocrisis. It was on Game Pass a while back, I believe. It went on sale on the Switch for only $10, so I picked it up. And if you don't know what Xenocrisis is, it's similar to the arena shooter when we were kids, Smash TV or Super Smash TV. It was an arcade game and then eventually ported to consoles, NES, Super NES, Genesis, just to name a few of them. It's pretty fun and it is pretty hard. I've been getting my ass kicked a lot, but I mean, it's fun though. I mean, I like it. I mean, I would like to eventually beat the game. I mean, it kind of sucks that it doesn't have like online multiplayer, but if I ever get a buddy to come over to the house and play with me, that'd be a good time. And then of course, dipping that in and out of Shredder's Revenge, the Cowabunga collection. I mean, otherwise I hadn't been really playing too much, but yeah, that's a little bit going on with me in the world of video games and gearing up for the end of the month where the Genesis Mini 2 is coming out. What's your question, Matt?
Speaking of Xeno Crisis, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Um, there was a recent episode of the Loading Bar podcast from friend of the show Max, in which Our View Gaming featured. I think that came out today, maybe yesterday. But yeah, you're any
Yeah, it
news
came
out.
out. Yeah, it came out earlier this week. Yeah, so yeah, I'm on the Loading Bar podcast with Max, and
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
it's a very long podcast. I mean, no longer than what we film here, but yeah, me and Max
Apparent.
talk about all these wonderful things. Talk shop, talk nostalgia, talk about favorite alcoholic beverages, and yeah, if
But
you
you
anyone
do,
listening has opportunity, yes,
you specifically say Xenosaga is one of your memorable objects, I think. It's like a
Xenogears for
favorite of
me.
yours.
Xenogears.
Xenogears.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. I actually said in that episode that Xenosaga and Xenoblade are the ones that I'm not a fan of. Because those were
Right.
the branch offs from Xenogears because the creator went off. Yeah, because he wasn't happy with the way Xenogears came out for multiple reasons that I don't understand. But
Well, now you know
yeah.
how much I've listened to, and just don't test me on it.
Well,
That's
definitely.
okay.
Well, definitely. I gotta check it out. I hear you guys talk about me too, which is a good thing, I guess.
Got to share the love, right?
Yeah,
Well,
you should have heard what we said after the episode. But just messing, my friend. So beyond that, let's go ahead and talk games. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this week in games, we actually have our first topic, which is going to be Nintendo based, and it's about the new Mario movie. So earlier this week, Nintendo held a movie direct where they revealed Super Mario Brothers, the movie, the one that we have heard earlier this year featuring Chris Pratt. And in the trailer, which was actually pretty dramatic, they showed a large army of Koopas, Bowser flying in his flying island, come in, land, and then essentially assault a fortress of penguins. And in that, Mario appears a little bit later, but he's not associated, of course, the clips cut and so forth, but he pops in. He seems very bewildered by what he sees, and yeah, you hear him talk for the first time. And Nintendo kept it nice and short, but it sounded very much like Chris Pratt, which we're hearing a lot of controversy over already. But even more, the bigger controversy around that is Chris Pratt's, or I'm not Chris Pratt's butt, but Mario's butt, or the lack of. My friends have actually. Let's start off with two talks. I know how excited you've been about this, not Mario's butt in general, but just the overall Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, what were your first impressions when you saw that trailer?
the 2 minutes or so that I saw, it looks like it will be better than last Mario Brothers movie. But but at any rate, though, but seriously, I mean, it was good. I think right now I know people are quick to judge. Chris Pratt, can he pull off Mario? And here's my opinion. Just let's see more before we judge. I mean, I don't think even what he said, Mario's lines, Chris Pratt as Mario, can overshadow this amazing trailer that we saw. I don't think it can. I mean, I think Nintendo Illumination's going in the right direction here, and I think we're going to have one great movie. And I mean, regardless, I mean, you can say what you want to about Chris Pratt. I think Jack Black kills it as Bowser. I think, I mean, it's a very good. And yeah, it was funny too with the penguins attacking. And yeah, I just
Definitely an overblown sense of entitlement there, I think.
yeah,
Maybe.
it was funny. Like, um, yeah, it's like look right there. Yeah, for the
So
audio listeners, yeah, we're watching the trailer right now, and yeah, it's yeah, I think it's gonna be a good movie. Just I do want to see more. I'm anxious to see more, and I mean, even with what we see, I mean, there's rumors that we'll get a new 2D Mario game next year alongside the movie. We'll just have to wait and see, but so far so good. I mean, I can't complain.
okay, and Matt, how do you feel about our mustached hero and the controversy that's going around in terms of his voice and his bodily features?
Look, I think ever since Tracer in Overwatch, people have had a thing about booties, and I'm not entirely sure it's appropriate. I think, we're all about body positivity. We have to look at things as they are. Like a toxic environment. I think people, if you're checking out, cinematic posters and, you know, breaking down the booties, I think we need to look at some other stuff. But anyway, the whole controversy around the entire thing, Tutol's right. I think we got to wait and see what they're actually doing. There's not enough here to make a judgment about whether it's going to be good or not. But what they may be secretly doing here is like focus testing a portion of it. Because we know that after Sonic, Sonic can look one way, and then 6 months later, when the film comes out, they completely change it. So if they're like, I mean, they can't re-record voice lines and stuff for Chris Pratt. I'm sure all of that is in the bag already. But they may be road testing other features of this film, and that's what we'll be looking at there. To be honest, I'm not attached to Mario. Like my first completed game was Odyssey, and Mario's Mario. But I did see a very compelling argument from someone online that it's Chris Martinet, isn't it, that does the original voice. I've forgotten his first name, obviously. But if you had a full movie,
Charles.
Charles Martinet, thank you.
Mhm.
If you had a full film of original Mario, wahoo, oh my, you wouldn't deal with it. That would be the point where they say they boycott the movie because there's frequency issues and it's destroying kids' eardrums because, or that
Yeah,
adults can't hear Mario because the frequency is so high.
yeah. Just my opinion. I don't think Charles Martinet can do a 90-minute Mario film. I'm sorry. I mean, just
Well, look, show me a script that
yeah.
Chris Charles Martinet has read that is longer than like 50 pages. Have we ever seen him encounter a dialogue? Have we seen
No,
like
that's the
Well, that
thing.
being
a
said,
soliloquy?
he has done interviews, and the entire thing was in terms of Mario that he's voiced for. He's explicitly said that Nintendo did not want him to have a voice. They didn't want him to speak, and only wanted him to really make sounds as a person, but not be able to like form full dialogue. They wanted you to interpret who he was, just based on the little that you were given. So there are interviews around that. So, but could he
Yeah.
do a 90-minute movie? I don't know.
Well, he's going to pop up. He has
Yeah.
been. It's been said that he will be doing voices throughout the film. So, knowing what nostalgia is like and what works in films, there's probably going to be a you know, couple of winks to the audience about old games that pop up. Maybe there's a shooting gallery or something where you have a tiny little Mario
Yeah,
jumping around.
I'm sure there's gonna be some Easter eggs. So
Yeah.
And yeah, he makes a cameo. I don't know if he'll be doing additional voices, but he will be in the film. So fans of him, do not need to fear. He is involved, just not as Mario, I guess.
So before we jump over to our next topic, so do either one of you feel like we're gonna have a Sonic moment, as Matt kind of alluded to earlier? Do you think we're gonna hear enough online online feedback and criticism that we might get a Mario with a rear end or a Italian voiceover early next year when this movie comes out?
Look, if you want Italian voiceover Mario for this film, go and look up the Italian translated version of that trailer. Someone shared that with me, and it's what you want. Like that will tick the box for you. But if you want to watch just a fun-loving film where you, for maybe half of it, you're sitting there trying to listen really hard for who's who, like you're finding your Charlie Days and your uh, Mr. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. The
Seth
Key and Peele
Rogen.
fellow. Yeah, Seth Rogen's in there as well. Yeah, you got Jack Black. I imagine it's going to be very Jack Black heavy. He's got
Hmm.
a very strong presence, and being Bowser, that's going to be your main guy. Yeah, like it's going to be that. That's going to be the enjoyable experience. What I think is that the whole Origins thing and the first time round is going to go great this time, but the next film, that's when they're going to have to come back with a strong offering, and they may not be able to do that. Depends on how much of the lore, the Easter eggs, all that stuff they expend in this film. We'll have to see.
And last note before we jump topics, and Justin, I'll let you get one more thing in.
Mm.
We do have to move along, though. Luigi is in the movie. Justin, what was your last note?
Yeah, just we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, kind of, I think it has a lot of catching up to do. The top Sonic. I mean, do I think it can beat Sonic? Yeah. I mean, it's definitely possible, but Sega listened to the fans, and Sonic is where it is now in terms of the box office. So
Yeah.
I mean, if Nintendo's trying to compete with Sonic, I think it does have a lot of work to do, but people will go see the film, and if they have a good film on their hands and they do a sequel, like Matt said, the second film is the one that's on count. So they really need to come out swinging if they want to catch up to Sonic or be
Yeah.
even
Let's
where
not put the
Sonic is
cart
at.
before the horse, though,
Yeah,
because they have to. This film has to do okay before
yeah,
they even jump to a second film. But
yeah.
on to our next topic. Nintendo officially launches Nintendo Pictures. So, Nintendo has officially launched Nintendo Pictures. It's a whole new subsidiary, and it will focus on the development of visual content using Nintendo IP. We recently saw this happen with Sony Pictures also. We have PlayStation Studios, which is now focusing on creating IP, or I'm sorry, leasing out IP of the PlayStation properties to different, third parties in order to create other forms of media, like so where you have the Horizon Zero Dawn Netflix adaptation that's coming. We have a God of War one, I believe, that is going to be on Amazon, and there's going to be other, of course, I believe 12 total PlayStation IPs have been greenlit for essentially,
Film and
other,
TV.
yeah, film and TV. Thank you very much. So with that said, guys, are we seeing Nintendo branch out? Are we seeing them really dig into to other media? I mean, we recently saw the theme park open up, and they're expanding upon that. But are we going to see, Mario cartoons come back? Are we going to see a Splatoon TV show on Netflix or something to that regard? Justin, I would love. Well, yeah, Justin, I would love to hear from you first in regards to this.
Excuse me. Yes. It'd be great to see, some Nintendo, some of their IPs back on television. Back in the day, you had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, you had the Donkey Kong Country Show, which aired on Fox Family back in the day. You also had the Adventures of Zelda, You had all sorts of IPs. So, I mean, I would definitely like to see some of those come back. Maybe a Star Fox show would be nice. Maybe they do something with F Zero. Maybe they do something with Pikmin. The possibilities are endless. Splatoon, I think that'd also be another interesting show as well in terms of their TV shows. Their movies, I think they'll be a lot more careful with. I could possibly see a Zelda movie, a Donkey Kong movie in the works. It depends what studio Nintendo chooses to partner up with and what best presentation they give Nintendo and Nintendo going along with it. I think one of the reasons why the Super Mario Brothers movie failed back in the day is they weren't involved enough. So they just got some directors to do the film, and as much as the movie sucks, the mini it is a cult classic, but yeah, we know where that ended up. So I mean, hopefully, whatever studio Nintendo does do, I just hope they're more involved now than they were back then. I mean, the cartoons is one thing, but yeah, movies is a whole different ball game. And even
Mhm.
like live television series as well.
Absolutely, completely agree. Matt, when looking at this new story, how do you interpret Nintendo's moves and creating this new subsidiary?
I think that it's look, it's going to be a children's television steamroll. That's what it's going to be. Because when you see the success of Sonic, you see a bunch of kids going to the cinema to watch this film and enjoy it. And you see a very muted Jim Carrey with an animated hedgehog and a bunch of other hedgehogs. Like Jim Carrey is usually lewd to some degree, but he's toned it down for this and it ended up being the pinnacle of his career. These guys have bought a studio earlier this year, renamed it to Nintendo Pictures. That clearly tells us that they either have a roadmap or a series of properties that they do want to do. Donkey Kong was definitely one that has been rumored or confirmed somewhat. There will be more. There definitely will. And whether they'll be successful, I don't know. Mario could completely tank, but I think it's incredibly unlikely. The same way that YouTube Kids is incredibly popular, even if it is filled with some very unfortunate content at the same time. Yeah, I think it's just going to be successful because it's successful, and they would be so liquid in terms of cash. They would have a tons of investment, tons of money to burn, tons of profits from other areas of the company that they can probably afford to take a 4 to 5 year risk on developing some film and TV and just throw it out there. But we just have to wait and see. And as
Yeah.
consumers, luckily we can do that. We can just sit and watch and see what happens.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. And in talking about inappropriate content and kids, Nintendo may be cracking down on its eShop. Have you guys had an opportunity to explore? You guys both have Switches. Have you had an opportunity to explore the eShop?
Yeah,
I
I'm on there from
yeah,
time to time.
some of the titles that are on there, I wonder. I wonder.
Yeah. Uh, I mean,
Is
I
there a
think it's
hentai
good.
section?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think I think it's good that they're monitoring what goes on there because it doesn't take much to just get a game on the eShop and other shops for that matter. But like you can get like a crap game on there and it'll just be on there for the most part. But for the most part, I think that them cracking down on adult content going on there is a good thing. Maybe they'll crack down on some of the other junk that developers put on there would be good also, not just the adult content. I mean, games rated adult only, they're kind of hard to sell, and they want to get it. They are down to mature, so kids can buy it, or parents can give kids their permission to play it or whatnot. So having an adult only game is not a good thing in the industry, not just for Nintendo, but just overall. I mean that's how I feel about it.
Well, Justin, I mean, you're totally right in that regard. But I don't think you're gonna have to worry too much longer. It seems like Nintendo is cracking down. There's a publisher named Gamuzuni on Twitter and they've published a number of a number of mature and lewd titles on Nintendo's eShop. But the publisher recently tweeted out that they've had multiple games that recently been denied by Nintendo. So their most recent title, Hot Tentacle Shoot, was rejected by Nintendo and told via Nintendo or via email by Nintendo, basically obscene content could damage their brand and infringe on their policies, end quote. This means that now all games with nudity should be censored. Additionally, the publisher confirmed another title featuring adult content was rejected for having nudity also. So, guys, is this going to be the change to the eShop over the next couple of years? Are we going to really see all those hentai games disappear? Because there's a lot. Like, I don't know, they're there.
Yeah.
There's a lot on there, but yeah, I don't know. To everything Too Tall said, I'm happy that they're kind of taking ownership of that and kind of weeding out things, or at least making sure that they're properly censored. Is there any more feelings that either one of you have on this?
I mean, I know some would argue that it's Nintendo being Nintendo wanting to keep their kid friendly kid friendly approach, but no, it's just them doing their due diligence. Like you can't just be having just anything go up on the eShop like that, just censor it properly. And like I said, it should be across the whole board, the Steam, PlayStation Store, the Xbox, Microsoft Store, just yeah, I mean I applaud them for this.
Yeah.
I think I have to take a stance against that, if only because it's not censorship, but there's an art to this, right? Like there's a reason that hentai is called hentai. There's a reason that there's entire communities dedicated to these kinds of games. It's not just lewd for lewd's sake. It's an enjoyment of a particular type of game that has certain content, and removing that as a form of enjoyment from players might be a way to restrict your fan base. And removing all of bad content from things is always going to be a good thing, right? Like Steam, overwhelmed with games at the moment. You might see thousands get submitted every year, some of them in varying states of completion. In terms of games with nudity, I think an appropriate marking to ensure that people can select the game or not is the most important part. Now, I say that coming from a country that historically has not had an 18 plus classification, which has meant that a lot of games haven't made their way here. Mortal Kombat 11, I think, had an issue for a long time. Some games coming up for a remaster have been reclassified again and then removed. And in the world that we're in, where you can submit for a VPN, purchase one, and watch things from another country, that doesn't really make much sense for us in Australia anyway. When it comes to boobs, obviously you have to do your due diligence on a platform like Nintendo because it's directed at kids. But then the entire advertising strategy for the Nintendo Switch was targeting millennials. People drinking, well, they weren't drinking on the trailer itself, but they were presumably drinking and partying and
On a
playing
rooftop.
Mario
Yeah.
Kart and stuff.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah. People of that age, we might be trying to push a certain stereotype of individual that doesn't explore that stuff, some sort of moral imperative away from engaging in lewd content to some degree. But at the same time, there's a whole visual novel game style that exists on Steam that you can get stuck into and find tons of games for. In fact, I played a game that was free, Doki Doki Literature Club, which is by no means about creating relationships with young Japanese girls in a high school. It's actually a very recursive, looped game that's very meta. It's about investigating the programming of the game and manipulating it, as opposed to trying to date these girls. But it comes across that way. And that one is on Switch as well. But it has no nudity, of course. I don't know. There's lots of words and lots of theoretical arguments to have about this stuff. Ultimately, I think people should have a choice. I think if Nintendo has a problem with it, they should engage in marking those games as such on their platform, create an effective family tool where parents can have control over what their kids have access to buy. And then at that point, if they find it's still an issue, then think about removing them from the platform. But, you know, all platforms are different. These days, there are issues with 60 frames per second on some consoles or others that are being removed.
Hmm.
Just, yeah. And Nintendo's bad for
Yeah.
that too. So
Yeah, and I would say so. There's
it's a
some
lot.
definitely some great points there. I will just end this with very much. Yeah, and I just give kudos to Microsoft. Microsoft has by far the best parental controls in ensuring that your kids are kept away from the content that you want to keep them away from. Um, PlayStation, not so much. You can definitely create profiles for individual people. That saying, it doesn't weed out as much as you would think. And then in regards to Switch, I think they could also improve on their parental controls also. But ultimately, yeah, I think there is this place for these types of games, and having a choice is important. But my friends, on to our next story, which is more Switch news or Nintendo news, however you want to look at it. No Man's Sky has now been released on the Switch, and this is actually a double story. We'll be talking about the Waypoint 4, 4.2 and 4.0 patch also, but No Man's Sky has now been released on the Switch, my friends. And this is big because No Man's Sky was promised on the Switch back in 2016. Now, it's not cloud based, which is big. That being said, the game is nowhere near in perfect condition, also. So, in terms of performance, this game runs at 30 frames per second, which now you can get No Man's Sky at 60 frames per second on both the Series X and, of course, the PS5 and on PC. But not only that, the 30 frames per second does have some frame rate drop issues, along with there is there's a image quality and resolution scaling that they're using to pop in whatever you're looking at the given time, so it's actually not populating everything in real time, which they do on the other console versions of this, in order to make sure that they're able to meet the marks that they have. So you will see a lot of pop in regards to the game. And then which, there's one other aspect to this that is really big, that might be a make or break for a lot of people, but there's no multiplayer, which No Man's Sky added to their game after the initial year of launch, an update. So you can't play with your friends. So it's really a single player game on the Switch. Um, Guys, you once again, you both have Switches. Too tall for you, full. How do you feel about Hello Games and how they got this huge game on the Nintendo Switch and its current form?
I think it's impressive that how they got it on the Switch. I know they want to get all their games on every console as possible. No Man's Sky, so I mean, it's good that they got it on the Switch. But if you're not gonna have all the features, I mean, I hate to say it, why bother? Just I mean, me personally, I'd play this on something else. But I mean, if the Switch is your only console and that's your way to play this game, then by all means, go for it. Just know that you're not going to be getting the full experience that you would on, say, the PlayStation or Xbox. So, I mean, it's impressive that they got this game on it. I mean, it's impressive. I see any game that shouldn't be on the Switch get on the Switch, but yeah, I mean, just because it's on the Switch doesn't mean that it's the way to go, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think you said an interesting thing there in terms of like why bother.
Hmm.
Even if the Switch is the only console that you have, Matt, I would actually pose that question to you. Do you think it's even worth, like, whether it's No Man's Sky or any game, if a game is missing some features because the hardware can't necessarily handle it, do you feel like it's not even worth going to at all? How do you feel in terms of No Man's Sky or other games in terms of that aspect?
Well, to directly answer that question, I think uh, games should definitely be made available on other platforms if that's part of the plan. I think providing for all platforms is important at the end of the day if you want to make sure that you cover as many bases as you can. And let's be honest, there are people still in console camps. So those who have been Nintendo fanboys for a while, they can now target those people with this game. Even with the reduced features, if they're about getting it on the platform, and that's on the roadmap, they've done it, you know, regardless of what the experience is like.
Hmm.
Personally, I
Hmm.
think Fresh News 24/7 in the chat said it pretty well from my perspective. No Man's Sky being on Switch is silly, isn't it? An online only game. I think not only are they backtracking the development of the game here to suit a platform which is way out of date, like everybody has recognized it at this point. This is the inflection point game, I think, where we look at it and we go, okay, we are making games worse. We're paring back too many features to make it squeeze into a platform that's existed for far too long that they're not intending to replace for a very long time. It's putting pressures on devs who intended to release for certain platforms this way. And in terms of the mission of No Man's Sky, it was about exploring an ever changing universe that changes depending on how everybody contributes to it. If you remove online or some of the components of that online, then do you actually get to do that? But I have never played No Man's Sky. I am extremely, extremely sympathetic to the devs, knowing their story from pre-release to release and then following it afterwards. That this was probably on the roadmap for from the very beginning. Like they
Hmm.
intended to go cross-console with this thing, but they might have had to push this release out a little bit further than they expected, which has
Yeah.
probably meant paring back features that have been upgraded for the new consoles, which are out. So,
Yeah, I heard it was pushed back for the Switch.
yeah.
And, like you said, man, they did a really good job. I mean, rebounding from that, they
Sony
took
threw them under the
yeah,
bus.
yeah,
They
yeah,
said, hang on, hang on. This is not the game that we said yes to. Right, no, stage left. You guys, nah. Terrible game. Don't even worry about it.
yeah,
And yet, here they are now. And we talked about the success story, I think, on an episode with you guys like a few months ago. It's,
Hmm.
yeah.
I think we should appreciate what we get with this. But, you know, should it be on the Switch? I think I would ask that of a lot of games. I really would. Going back to our previous point.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I would say in terms of No Man's Sky being on the Switch, I would say with it being promised and not with it being promised, I think it's good onus of Hello Games to put it on the Switch. No Man's Sky wasn't a online game necessarily. There was online features originally, and Hello Games did promise that there would be multiplayer aspects of the game. We didn't really see what that was until the game released. Essentially, players can alter a world, and then those worlds would show up in other players' games. Then in later updates, they made it so they are all connected worlds, and you could actually see other players that are playing No Man's Sky in your world. So at a later point, about a year later, maybe a year and a half later, they made it a multiplayer game, whereas originally it was not. But yeah, I would say in regards to their original promises, I think it's great that it's on the Switch. I think it gives people that have the opportunity, or gives the people the opportunity to play it. That if they don't have anywhere to play it, anywhere else to play it, they have somewhere to at least experience it. I don't think it takes away from the game if you don't know what the game looks like on the other side. You know, you may
It's
read
fair.
about
It's
it,
fair.
yeah, but not playing it on a PlayStation or Xbox. And you're not moving backwards. You're still only moving forward in that respect. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I think it's good that they follow through, and that it's not in a state where it's like in a cyberpunk situation where the game is on a lesser piece of hardware and it's so broken it's unplayable. It's still playable. It's just not going to be the best place to play.
The thing
Which
that
I
would
which
interest me
yeah.
most, knowing the hardware of the Switch, is whether they could release this on phone.
Yeah, that
Mm,
would be nice.
that might be the next point. I mean, who knows? Hello Games is literally putting this game everywhere. And with it being a procedurally generated game where a lot of is done on the back end, it might be plausible. But let's go ahead and continue talking about No Man's Sky a little bit more, just because they've put out a recent update. The update is just a series of quality life improvements throughout. Everything really from just accessibility. You are now able to change the difficulty level. You can change aspects of like death. If you want to die or if you don't want to die, you can also do now permadeath. So there's new difficulty levels there. There's new saving features, visual features, inventory changes. They've changed just a ton of quality and life improvements, and we have seen just this game evolve over time. That being said, not all of it is positive. They have removed some of the things that kind of taken the game forward and essentially brought it backwards. There's been a couple Reddit threads in terms of like them removing inventory and cargo slots and limiting the users, which people are really thinking that they're bringing it in line with the Switch, and that's why they've removed some of these features that
Do
you
we know if there's
otherwise, yeah,
crossplay? Well, obviously not with
um,
online multiplayer, but
yeah.
reflecting the worlds across the two platforms, is that important to the game?
It can be in terms of the Switch. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't make any. It wouldn't matter. In terms of the Switch, it's not going to matter because the online functionality is not there. So, like, even if someone was to alter a world, you wouldn't be able to see it on the Switch side. On PlayStation and Xbox, yeah, those worlds are exclusive, so you don't see cross world play. So, if someone alters the game on a PlayStation console, you're not going to see that world in Xbox console. No, so there's no cross play between consoles. But yeah.
This could speak something very interesting to the development of the game.
Mhm.
Like if they have to streamline their workflow to adjust how it plays to ensure they can develop for all platforms at the same time efficiently, then that would be really interesting to hear about. I would love to hear from Hello Games about how they actually put all of these things into motion and whether that is the big contributing component of that. Because the last thing you want to do is have 6 games of chess and then one game of chess be a completely different game, like have an extra dimension to it than the other
Mhm.
games and need to worry about the rules and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
See. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end that note in No Man's Sky. Was there any last notes, Tutal or Matt, that you wanted to speak on before we jump on to our next topic?
If you do get it for the Switch, hope you guys enjoy it. I mean, it's a very enjoyable game. Developers worked very hard to improve this. So, yeah, just that's all I gotta say, really.
Enjoy
Oh,
your games. That's a good one.
very true. I can't agree more. And I'm already jumping the gun here, but a Splatoon 3's newest Splatfest is collaborating with Pokemon, and essentially, when playing Splatoon 3, you get to choose one of the 3 colors, and the colors are going to represent one of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's newest starters. So that's going to be Sprigatino.
I'm just going to tell you, I've been waiting for this. I wanted to hear the pronunciations.
I'm already pronouncing them wrong. So it's Sprigatito, Foy Coco, and Quaxley. So, my friends,
I think you got Quaxley correct.
Hey, I tried. That's all I can say, you know?
Coco was right too, I think. All names are made up. That's what I'll say.
Really, yeah. It just depends where you're from. I'm speaking with my accent here, and that's how I say them from where I'm from. Anyway, guys, we don't need to talk about this one too long. But are either one of you, or have either one of you had an opportunity to play Splatoon 3?
Not yet. I mean, but I do think that this collaboration is going to be a big one. I mean, I just can't wait to see what the next collaboration will be. I mean, maybe they'll do something with Mario, maybe Legend of Zelda, Donkey Kong. I mean, we'll have to see and wait what happens. But no, I have not had a chance to dip into Splatoon 3 just yet. We'll definitely see. I mean, if enough of my friends buy it, maybe if Matt buys it, I mean, I'll play with him. You know.
Unlikely.
More important question is who's your this in the audience too, for everyone watching, who is your starter of choice?
Ooh,
I'm a Quaxley guy, so I've already said in the initial reveal of Scarlet and Violet that Quaxley would be my starter for this, so I would go Team Blue if I was playing Splatoon.
for me, I guess I'd have to go to Fire. So the Fire one is Flu Coco. Is that right?
Yeah, Foy Coco. Foy Coco
Okay.
would be the
I guess
fire one.
I'd go with that one then.
Yeah.
I'd go with Squirtle.
Squirtle. You can't go Squirtle.
All right, I'll go Charmander. I'll go Charm.
See? The original starters. That's where it all
Original
began.
starters. Number one. Let's see.
Squirtle. Yeah.
That makes me
Everyone
a
I knew
Quaxley,
was
I think.
a Charmander person. You know, everyone was when I was growing up. So with original
Then
starters,
maybe Bulbasaur. Yeah.
no one liked Bulbasaur, but
Bulbasaur was strong, you know.
he was.
You could
He
kick
was.
Brock and then Misty, but then you got into a bit of trouble with the rest. I won't go too far down that rabbit hole.
All right, guys. Well, let's see. So we have only a little bit of Xbox news. There wasn't much happening with Xbox this week, but let's see. I'm going to pose another question to you guys, but in regards to this story, Xbox Seagate expansion cards are currently being discounted at several retailers. So they are essentially $20 cheaper. So I believe the retail price was $199, but with the $20 discount that they're being discounted for, you can pick them up for $179. Now, that's not what I really want to talk about. Who cares about if they're being discounted more or less? The thing I want to talk about is just expandable storage. Do we think that Xbox made the right move with going with a proprietary expandable storage and a memory card?
Didn't Sony do that too?
No.
So no, Sony actually has a open source third party expandable memory right now. So you know any
They got a list, right?
yeah, any SD with a heatsink can be attached to the Sony PlayStation 5.
NVMe.
All right, NVMe. Thank you very much. Yeah. So it's open source in terms of Microsoft. It has to be. It's specially made. Essentially, it's proprietary. So only Xbox approved memory cards that can fit into it. Xbox, you can plug in an external hard drive and download your games to that hard drive, but you cannot play the games from that hard drive. So
same thing with PlayStation. You can board a PS5. You can do the same thing. You can plug in an external, go back and forth between your games. You just can't play it from that external hard drive. You can play your PS4 games from it, but you can't do that.
Yeah, but you can open up the PlayStation 5 and exchange the hard drive with a third-party hard drive. And that's the important thing. So people are exchanging their hard drives with 2 terabyte, 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte hard drives, which are accessible, and we're seeing those go down in price significantly. I saw a 2 terabyte PlayStation hard drive being sold for $99 a couple
Are you,
weeks ago.
are you
Yes,
serious?
yeah,
Oh.
which
So that is the
we
crux of where the argument lives for me. That being able to select the hard drive that you'd like to install and having a number to choose from means that you can choose a cheap one. Because everyone obviously has a look at the WD Black series, which is, gamer ready or whatever branding they use for that. But there's also cheaper ones you can get, and that's where it becomes a problem for the consumer, that not every hard drive is the same. Not every SSD is the same.
Exactly.
Not every
Exactly.
M2 drive is built the same. And it all depends on the specifications of the device, whether it has the capacity to deal with what the capacity of the drive. And that's why they need to have that proprietary list, because if you've built computers at all, you'd know that you have to be cautious with the hard drives and the motherboards you have sometimes. That's why they have to have a list. Now, Sony gives you the opportunity to choose, but it also gives consumers the opportunity to lose. Whereas with Xbox, they're selling something for a single price, very expensive, but they can guarantee that performance, which means it'll guarantee the performance of their product.
This
So
is true.
Well,
it's
I
kind of a
know.
toss-up.
Yeah, well, I know Sony did partner up with WD on, the WD drive. So I think that is the one that they, you know, have put their name behind. So, I mean, if you are going to upgrade your storage through the PlayStation 5, I would definitely go with whatever Sony recommends, which is that one. So, I mean, I know there are other options out there, cheaper options, but, sometimes some of these drives, it's just like you never know, man. Like, I would just go with what is guaranteed to work. I mean, that's just me.
No, me
Yeah,
too. Like I
Yeah.
recently replaced a solid state drive in my computer because I had
Hmm.
to expand the storage. And I was looking between the options. It's incredibly cheap at the moment.
Yeah,
But
it
you have to
is.
pick not just cheap, but you have to look at the transfer rates,
Yeah.
the connections, how many buses you have available for the different connections in your device, whether you can power it with the unit you've got. Like, there's a whole lot of things to consider. But if you've got that simple list and someone like Tutol can jump on it and go, yep, WD Black, let's grab one of those, then it makes it easier.
in the same
Yeah.
respect, though, I mean, Xbox does have a 2 terabyte also, but it's being sold for $399. So I mean,
Ooh.
does I don't know. There's definitely a, a
I know
weight
what you're
right
talking
there.
about here.
Like,
There's
yeah,
We as consumers, we look at bundles to increase value. So the more you get, the less it becomes. So you buy 6 donuts, it's cheaper than buying 1 donut 6 times. But with hard drives, they have limitations that they're stuck to. They have to have the same form factor, the same die that has the same limitations as every other model, but increase that available size. And to do that, it costs more money to have, a better processing experience to create the model, which is why hard drives tend to go up in cost the more you get. So you could get 2 terabyte hard drives, but getting a 2 terabyte drive will be more expensive than those two combined. It works counterintuitive to what we as consumers have been trained to experience through the barter system. Like it's really weird, but that's the way hard drives work.
Mhm.
yeah, and hopefully as time passes, we'll see those prices drop on both ends, because the last thing you want to do is invest in more memory when all you really want to do is invest in games. But guys, let's talk about the Steam Deck,
Steam
because
Deck.
this is the something that just the gift that keeps on giving. Um, Matt, we might have some good news for you. We might have some good news for you,
You don't,
but
but we'll see.
not yet, not yet. It's coming. First off, the Steam Deck has officially sold the Steam Deck has shipped over 1 million units, which is a
Yahoo.
which is a great milestone. We're really seeing a lot of popularity behind this particular device. My friends, how should we celebrate? What should we do? Should we all raise our Steam Decks in the? Oh wait, do it? Does anyone have a Steam Deck here?
No.
No,
I
no.
don't, I don't know if I'm allowed to make the finger related gesture that I want to on this podcast.
Yes, yeah, you totally can make that finger gesture, but that's totally up to you. I'm not gonna censor you here.
They know it's
Uh,
coming now. I'm into it when you least expect it. But no, I think we should celebrate by removing the reservations on our storefront and just sell them as they come. How
Well, I
about
think
that?
that's what they're doing now, right?
Well, let's go ahead and skip our next topic. Or we're still talking about the Steam Deck, but let's go ahead and skip the next particular topic and talk about that. The Steam Deck is now available with no reservations in the U.S. and in South America. That being said, they are opening up global reservations. By global, it's not around the world quite yet. It's going to be in, I believe, Japan, in parts of Europe, and I believe there's one other location. That being said, we're seeing it open up. So Matt, it could be coming to Australia sooner than later. And based on where they were early last year, I mean, I didn't expect them to meet reservations or catch up at all by this point. So I
It's true.
mean, are you still looking forward to it if they do open up reservations? I know you just bought a Switch not too long ago, but how is the Steam Deck looking to you at this current point? If they were like next week, they're like, oh, it's now available in Australia.
Look, I'm going to be one of those people on the internet that is so angry that they can't get it, and as soon as they can get it, they won't because it's too much money or that doesn't fit into my life, which is definitely the case. Even if it was available for me now, I probably wouldn't buy
Mm.
one. But knowing that I might be traveling and living overseas next year, it definitely would be a better like a PC gaming choice for me because I'm a PC gamer for the most part. That's where a lot of my gaming lives at the moment. So being able to do that on a device and have the flexibility to do a bunch of other gaming things on it, it's appealing. But look, Australia is a very special country. We have trouble rating games. We have trouble, getting films early or late. Sometimes we get them before you guys somehow. I don't know why. It's like, here, have this little thing instead. Stop crying about the other stuff. But in this case, getting electronics approved for sale in this country is interesting. Even importing them in seems to be easier than importing them out, which shouldn't make sense here. But once I was able to purchase a phone from overseas, but when I tried to sell that phone to someone else overseas, I couldn't send it internationally. It had to be sent without the battery, which was really weird. But anyway,
Yeah.
Australia is a very unique market. It's very protected. We have a rights body that protects people against this stuff, and Steam is probably burnt by it at this stage. Part of the reason they have to do refunds now is because there was a case in Australia where they were implored to do that, and they were
Mhm.
required according to regulations in our system. So we're probably going to be last. I'm going to be honest, we'll be last. Japan
Well,
isn't even outside our time zone, really. It's
yeah,
about 2 or 3 hours away. But look, I'm not really butthurt by it. I'm just following it with interest and seeing what happens. But
absolutely.
you
And a
guys
quick
should
correct
you guys should get it for sure.
a quick correction. It's opening up reservations in Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Hong Kong. So all those other places that I named outside that, sorry, you're not going to be able to pick it up. But that being said, they are now able to deliver it approximately in 1 to 2 weeks. Too tall. How's the Steam Deck looking to you at this current day and time?
It looks great. It looks awesome. Um, I do want one. It looks great. I mean, it would just have a hard time justifying to my wife why I need one. I don't really game on a PC all that much. All I would really use it for is just an emulation machine personally. And it's just like I can already do that on my PC. So, I mean, for me, I mean, as great as it looks, it's just I would just have a hard time justifying why I got it unless they came down on the price a little bit. I mean, the 399 one looks like I could swing that, but it's just that's just not enough storage, and I think getting the SD card to expand the storage isn't worth it. So, I mean, I think it's great though that you can get one now quicker than the analog pocket, which is still taking like 6 months for people to get. But I mean, just I mean, good job, Valve, and hopefully we see more of those things sell, and then maybe 2, 3 years down the road, maybe I will buy one. Hopefully I can just walk into a Best Buy or Target one day, see it on the shelves, like I want that, and then pick it up, take it home that day, and not have to wait for FedEx or UPS to bring it to me in the mail. So
Something that may convince you is
hmm
that after getting my Switch, which regular listeners to this show will know that I was very much against it until the opportunity came where it would create a convenience in my life. Like, I would have no opportunity to game without this thing because it is a mobile gaming device. It has now become my Hades machine, my roguelite machine. It's the game that I play 2D platformers on. Metroid Dread, 100% handheld for me. And I think the Steam Deck has the opportunity to do that for people too, and potentially you. It can make a very compelling argument that it's a better way to enjoy some of the games you get. In terms of money, it's never going to make sense. Like,
yeah,
you're
I
paying
know. Yeah, I
large
know
sums of
that.
money rather than just upgrading a computer you've already got. But
I know. Yeah, I know. For me, it would probably be the next big purchase I made if I was going to get another handheld or console, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can definitely say that. And
Yeah.
then, as for Matt Bliss having a Switch, you're welcome. No, I'm just kidding.
you didn't buy me that ticket to Ireland earlier this year. That's what did it. Oh, and having my birthday. That kind of helped too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and too tall. You're right. I don't think you could ever justify it. I mean, you do got a lot of dust on those computers back there, so I don't think you'll be getting getting one anytime soon.
Is this why he won't get a webcam with 4K?
It might happen if you talk to him enough. But in our last bit of Steam Deck news, the Steam Deck dock is finally out. Now that they've been able to meet reservations, you can now go ahead and buy the Steam Deck dock. And along with the Steam Deck dock, I mean, in regards to the Steam Deck dock, there's been third-party ones that actually have already been available, but this is, of course, Valve's official dock that is actually received a couple upgrades since being initially announced. It is $89. It also does take about 1 to 2 weeks to deliver, but it comes with let's see, it comes with a 3 USB 3.1 ports, one HDMI 2.0 port, a display port 1.4, and a gigabyte Ethernet jack. And in terms of the other third party ones that you can buy those from JSOX. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is JSAUX and iVoller are the ones that are selling them, and they are selling them for cheaper. So that being said, guys, if you did foresee yourself, ever diving into a Steam Deck, do you think you would, want to play it on your big screen TV, or do you think you would play it primarily on handheld?
just handheld for me. I mean, that's just. I mean, if I were a big PC gamer, I just go back and forth between my PC and that. I don't think I would need a dock personally.
I would be in the camp of people who try all the things because you have the thing that can do the things.
Hmm.
So first for me, if I had the dock, I would try to use it at work as a PC. It runs Linux. It makes it a little bit hard, but with that dock, most of these docks come standard with computers, laptops as devices that you get issued at a lot of businesses, and it's got all the things you need there. So I would try and use it for work, and then probably try all the emulator stuff. But I think you kind of have to get it at $29 US. it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, the dock would be a must buy because I mean, I always prefer playing my games and just the biggest TV I can possible. And then unless like I'm in a situation where I don't have that huge ass TV, if I'm at an airport or flying or traveling, as Matt spoke to earlier, and how he uses his Switch, those would be the only times that I would foresee myself using that. But in the same regard, like if I can connect it to like a TV, like in a hotel, I totally would. That would be my first go to. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad the doc's finally out. I'm kind of like other develop or other yeah, other third parties are doing it for cheaper, so I would like to see Valve make that a little more competitive.
If I can
But
say just quickly
yes.
before we round out this topic that they will probably wait. They won't make a competitive arm of this product. Like they don't want to have three different docks.
Hmm.
Mostly because if you look at the ports available, they are currently the lagging behind industry standard. Like there is already an HDMI 2.1 available, and there will be further iterations of HDMI as TVs release over time. So, and DisplayPort 1.4, that's the standard, but that may increase as well. So, what they will probably wait here to do is develop a product that matches new televisions as they get released so that they can take full advantage of the HDMI capability, much like the PlayStation 5 did recently with their recent update and the variable refresh rate and things like that. I'd say this is what we'll have for a bit, and then
Hmm.
maybe in 2 to 3 years with a new line of televisions and new HDMI standards, they'll change it up again.
And hopefully new Steam Deck.
New Steam Deck, a nice
Maybe,
hot thin
you never
one.
know.
a new Steam Deck.
No, they can't make it thinner. Listen to last episode.
Yeah,
Uh,
That was the
they
joke.
really can't.
You can't
Yeah.
hold it.
got you. Let's see. So that's enough about the Steam Deck. Unless you guys want to hear more. No, that's enough about the Steam Deck. Let's go ahead and talk about some PlayStation news. Let's see. So players can now link their Steam accounts to their PlayStation Network accounts. Let's see. The first game that will allow players to do this is going to be Marvel Spider-Man, which received a patch earlier this week that enabled the feature. And let's see. Let's see. Well, I kind of will just leave it right there. There's really not much to talk about here in regards. Otherwise, if you link your accounts, you're also going to receive exclusive rewards. So in Spider-Man, you can get a new suit, you can get a concussive blast, and you get extra skill points if you link your Steam account and PlayStation Network account. Uh, Guys, are we seeing PlayStation? Matt, I'll pose this to you first. Are we seeing PlayStation really allowing themselves to embrace the PC market? Are we seeing them maybe taking some cues from Xbox and how they handle their games?
Probably. I think Discord is emerging as an app that people enjoy, and the whole integration aspect of that Xbox is doing leaps and bounds for them. So connecting PlayStation and Steam accounts just makes sense, just as a social network. But of course, PC titles are starting to come out. They're talking about releasing games on a yearly cadence post console release. This was Herman Holst, which I think we'll get to in a little bit. And look, tied together with that, what they're starting to see and building out that PC experience for PlayStation games, they want to try and create their own little garden in the Steam walled garden of things. They'd want
Mhm.
to etch out their space and create a connection back to where they sell their products. Tie it into the family. So it absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. Justin, do you have anything you want to notate in terms of how PlayStation is handling their PC market or how they're allowing Steam to now be connected to PlayStation?
I think it's great. I mean, I think they're tapping into that PC audience slowly but surely. It's just they just got to keep doing what they're doing, and who knows? I mean, they definitely have taken a step out of Xbox book in terms of doing that. So I mean, just the more innovation, the better. And like Matt said, with the Discord, linking everything together, it's just incredible. Just the sky's nothing but the limit for PlayStation when it comes to PC at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually on the other end of this a little bit, just in terms of exclusive rewards. I think it's total BS. Like I hate the fact that like the PC market is getting something that I'm not. Regardless if I like bought the season pass or the collector's edition or whatever, the fact that they're getting a suit that's not available to me. It
But
might eventually be available to me,
no,
but
it won't. It absolutely won't.
it's not.
Because this is
You-
this is the capitalist FOMO that they want you to feel, so that you go out
they're
and you buy the game on PC as well.
and they're doing such a good job at it, and it makes me angry. And yeah, I want that suit. I only wear a couple suits in Spider-Man, but I want that suit just because I can't have it.
It
So
sounds like you will be buying a Steam Deck sooner than we thought.
quite possibly. So in regards to other PlayStation perks and rewards, PlayStation Star's loyalty program is become available. Um, and yeah, I would say, if you haven't heard of it, this is PlayStation allowing you, well, essentially by purchasing games and playing games, PlayStation now is rewarding people with trophies on the PlayStation 5. Tutal, you do have a PlayStation 5. Have you had an opportunity to jump into the PlayStation Stars loyalty program?
Not yet. The main console I've been gaming on right now is the Switch. I probably should turn on the PS5 one just to make sure it still works and update everything. And I'm still thinking about expanding the drive, but no, I have not had a chance to try it out just yet. But when I do, I will let you know.
Is it just digital collect? Is it like NFTs but not NFTs? Is that what we're looking at here?
They're
Yeah,
like
yeah, essentially.
trophies, kind of. I mean, I guess you could say,
NFTs.
Yeah, Matt is totally right. Yeah, so there are NFTs that are not NFTs. Yeah, I would say I think maybe PlayStation was maybe gearing up to maybe do like a NFT marketplace. Is what the way I feel about it. But then just in terms of all the backlash and everything that happened, I think they've kind of revamped that system and that offering. So now they are providing you with digital trophies. In Japan, they're actually, with the loyalty program, they're actually giving PlayStation money or redeemable, giving you money back in that market, so you can purchase more games. But they're not doing that in any other market. But so otherwise, yeah, all you're receiving is trophies in every other region.
Yeah, well, I mean, they
Yeah.
may as well just play. What is that game that comes with the PlayStation 5? Uh,
Astrobot's Playroom.
yeah, Astrobot. Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Like where you go through the game and you get all these collectibles from PlayStation's, history. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. I mean,
Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
just lifted the stuff out of that game and just put it into a platform that other
pretty
people can get
much.
access to by buying more stuff, which is a shame because that was lovingly crafted as a history of PlayStation, I think,
Yeah, it
by those
was.
devs that did that.
I've been asking for 3D trophies for a while now, ever since Smash Brothers did the, like, when you like every time you completed a task in Smash Brothers and you had that table like in
Oh
Smash
yes.
Brothers and all your trophies kept on piling up and you got to see like those changes happen. I've been wanting 3D trophies ever since then. But not in this respect. Just looking at PlayStation stars so far and hearing everything I've heard it's buggy, it's not working, people haven't been able to sign in. It was probably a lot of day one issues in regards to that, but just still hearing all those things and not having a really great way to display those trophies. Like it's available to you in the app, it's available to you in a certain icon within your PlayStation 5, but there's no really tangible way to share that. Like there's no fun way to really utilize those items that you're getting from playing your games. It's more, it's very a very personal thing in terms of like you did it, but no one else is going to really know you did it. Yeah, there is probably a way to share it, but if they're not putting it forefront, I think it's going to be another feature that they're just going to cut in a year or so.
To your point, I think there would have been a way to show off your trophies. You would have gotten a very long ID of alphanumeric characters leading to a block on a chain. That's a public ledger that's available for everybody to look at. But yeah, I'd say you're right. Those little reward card goal-oriented things were completely removed in 6 months off PS5, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they'll
I
test
think
this and just remove it.
I think what they originally wanted to do, just they saw it wasn't going to work, so now they're doing something else. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not 100% sold. I'm not running to my PS5 right now. Oh, what 3D trophy can I get today? Hope I get a 3D PS3 or something like. No, I'm just like,
You just wait. When that dopamine kicks in, the serotonin that drives all those little choices you make, you'll be like, you'll look back on a month and realize you've done a daily task for 30 days and gotten 30 things, and you won't even know why you did it. Like the
yeah,
manipulative
exactly.
human behavioral stuff that ties together with components like this, scary. That's why TikTok works.
Yeah. I mean, they
Anyway,
should make my trophies explode and confetti come out, and then I might
Hot Wheels did
get that
loot boxes.
exactly.
Learn
Oh
from each
man.
other.
So we're gonna continue on with some Sony talk. So this is nothing too big, but Sony is reportedly making 2 million units for launch of its PlayStation VR. Guys, I would say too tall. Do we think Sony's being ambitious by making 2 million units to release, or to sell initially with the PlayStation VR 2?
Not really. I mean, if they think that 2 million people will buy it, it may not be enough for in one case. I mean, who knows? But I mean, I think 2 million units is where to start. I mean, me personally, I don't see this thing really selling out, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Let's just hope there's enough of them. I mean, if 2 million will be enough, then that's fine. But but I mean, we'll
Well,
just have to wait and see.
think about the rest, right? We don't
Uh,
know the release date. We don't know the
nope,
exact pricing.
nope.
We don't know the full requirements, the space requirements. We know it's inside out tracking, great quality hardware, awesome. I think the big bit of this story that they're trying to kind of brag about is that they don't have supply chain issues for some reason. Like a lot of companies have been looking at ways to make their supply chain more efficient because they're starting to run out of materials. But now PSVR 2 is apparently so easy to produce with the products they have, they don't have to worry about it. They can just kick up or down their production as needed. I think that's a big posturing point, especially with Meta coming out
Yeah,
with
a lot of
Oculus.
VR headsets are popping up right now. Let's see. Yeah, I would say, yeah, pretty much the same thing. I can definitely see them just this being like a little nudge and point, like to, yeah, that they're not having constraints in terms of their supply and what they're able to provide. The PlayStation original PlayStation VR sold approximately about 10 million units from the last numbers that I saw. So with them making 2 million units and there being a lot less PlayStation 5s out in the wild, I am kind of like, oh, do we really think this is going to do that well? But I think people that are engaged in the PlayStation ecosystem and just all the positive PR that the PlayStation VR 2 is, or I'm sorry, the PlayStation VR 2 is receiving right now, I think it's going to sell relatively well. I think it'll sell at least 10 million units. And now where that is that successful for PlayStation, will they consider that successful? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I think it'll sell at least 10 million, even with there only being about 20 million PlayStation 5s out there sold currently.
Over time, it has to, right? And the way that they've
Mhm.
developed this, a lot of the analysis has been looking at Sony posturing and like, throwing out this big buffed up product that's like awesome 4K dual resolution eye sockets and inside out tracking that works wireless or only one wire or whatever. Trying to put Oculus on their toes, but they may have built a VR product that's going to last the test of time, unlike the Nintendo Switch, and it will sell those units across its lifetime. Because let's be honest, the VR community is still small. The one that is
Yeah.
a
Yep.
regular VR user, they're either going to target across the lifespan of the PS5 a percentage of those consoles having a PSVR 2 as well, or market this product to be a more consumer friendly product as an entry point to VR. Ridiculously expensive, probably, but it will be easier for people to get into than the PSVR was, with little Move controllers and a brick that you had to plug into to make it work. You know, I suspect you're right.
Nice. Too tall? Any last? It looks like your mind's working over there. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, I mean, I just want to, like Matt was saying earlier, I just want to, I mean, we know the specs and everything, what it's going to be. Right now, and I know you said this a while back, everything's always about money with me. I just want to see the price and the date of when this thing is coming out. And then after that, that will determine everything for me if, people will buy it. And, and people probably will buy it. I mean, if they do sell 10 million units, that would be great. I mean, I think five would be a good job for them, but it just depends how far they want to take VR and where they want to go with it. So we'll just have to wait and see. It's all the waiting game at this point.
Let's be honest. If the PSVR 2 flops, then maybe a remastered game can help them make that money back.
Oh
Uh,
boy.
well, as we continue our PlayStation news, guys, the PlayStation 5 has been jailbroken, kind of. Um, so a PlayStation modder under the tag Spectre Dev unveiled a jailbreak earlier this week. It's an experimental IPv6 kernel exploit for the PlayStation 5 only, and then it works on all PS5s running firmware 4.03 and lower. This jailbreak only works about 30% of the time. But in terms of what it's allowed people to do, it allows people to unlock debug menus and allows them to use unauthorized software on the PlayStation 5. So, for instance, people have been putting PT on back on their PlayStation 5s. Now, that said, it's totally unplayable, but this is the first step in what could be PlayStation 5 essentially being open source. And we already know Sony's going to be tracking this very closely to make sure that that doesn't happen. My friends, Matt, do, would you be interested in purchasing a jailbroken PS5 if the day ever came?
No, I can't even get a PS5 for under $600. How much is a jailbroken one going to be worth? No, we should note that the release you mentioned, the 4.03 that this works
Mhm.
on or lower, was the firmware as of October 2021. So
Mhm.
it's a very small step in the direction of being able to do this with current iterations of that firmware and make it happen. And the fact that PS4 games are unplayable in the state that he was adding them to the system means that it's an incredibly small step. But
Mhm.
it's a step in a direction. I don't think it'll be the right one. I think people need to chill on the PT thing. I reckon
Yeah.
hang on
Just
to your
make it
PS4.
accessible to play. I had PT. I downloaded the game. I deleted the game because I didn't have external or expandable storage at the time, and I cannot get the game back. That is such
Here,
BS.
I got a deal for you then.
Yeah.
I will swap you your PS5 jailbroken, and I'll give you my PS4 that has PT on it. How about that?
No, no, it's not worth that. The value proposition for me is not there. It might be for someone else. I just want to be able to play the games that I've downloaded at any point, and that I bought or was allowed to download through PlayStation Plus, because that's what I paid for. And yeah,
It was a playable trailer. It was free.
yeah, but I don't want to go down this road, but yes,
PT has
yeah.
the biggest story of any game for a story to gameplay ratio, I think.
It
Oh
really
yeah.
does.
Really balloons out.
Yeah.
But look, we just gotta keep an eye on it. People are going to do this. They're going to try and crack it.
Yeah.
As long as Sony can keep up, then they'll be able to change the firmware to ensure that people can't do that stuff. But
Mhm.
I'm sure you could jailbreak the PS5 years from now. I mean, I'm not interested in getting a jailbroken PS5. I'm just being honest. I mean, I'm not into doing that with modern day hardware. Now, after the fact, once it's all over, all said and done, why not? Like Mark, our colleague, he jailbreak his PS4 or something like that recently. So I mean,
Oh,
it's
just
on
throw
its
him
way
under
out.
the bus. Just give him his last name and address.
Nah. So, hey, I have a
All right.
modded Wii, so I mean, come get me, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, just waving the stick. Let's see. So, in regards to our next story, does anyone need any more Horizon Zero Dawn in their life? I know
No.
I do. Hey, well, forget you then. This isn't for you. A remaster of 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn is reportedly in the works for PlayStation 5, alongside a brand new multiplayer game of Horizon Zero Dawn in some form or fashion for PS5 and PC. So, we might be getting the Last of Us treatment for Horizon Zero Dawn.
Well, I gotta ask.
What's up?
Why are they doing this? Because didn't they? I mean, it's a game that only came out 5 years ago, and then it's like you could play it on the PS5, and then they like give like the PS like if you play it on your PS5, then they like put some like give it like some like better graphics or something behind that or something like that. Didn't make it like better playable on the PS5 than the PS4.
Yes, there was a patch that was available for the PlayStation 4 version that allowed it and allowed it to run at 60 frames per second on the PS5, along with yeah, I think that was it. I think it was just frame rate. So in regards to the Last of Us treatment, the Last of Us, added accessibility features. They smoothed out mechanics. There was just a lot of quality of life improvements overall. So, in regards to the Horizon Zero Dawn, I think that's more in line of what we potentially might be getting. But even more importantly, Horizon Zero Dawn is also getting a Netflix show, just like The Last of Us. So we could be very much be seeing this with a lot of games that are also getting the media treatment in terms of PlayStation expanding their universe. Matt, I would love to hear your thoughts about about PlayStation remastering a 5-year-old game that also was just released on PC and essentially got an upgrade there already.
I on the most recent episode of the Dead Drop, I was talking about a story where people were complaining about a recent release of a next gen title, the Calypso Protocol, being announced as being a $70 game. And The Last of Us Part 1 ties together with this as well. Why would anyone buy this? Why are they making it? They're making it and they're pricing it the way they are because game development is game development. Like they see opportunities to create games, and I think gamers always, not always, but they have a habit of looking at things in the immediate present. Like there's living in the moment, and then there's deciding what you want and just talking like that's the thing that's the most important to you at that time. Like we can't put Activision Blizzard against the screws for treating their workers terribly, not paying them well, sexual harassment, all that stuff. And then come back and say, well, games historically have been $60. Now they're going to become $70. And of course, you're talking from your perspective, not the Aussie one, where we could be looking at a special edition game for 150 Australian dollars. The money has to come from somewhere, and markets inflate. You know, things start to cost more money as more people are required to develop games. The money goes up. So, in terms of the $70 problem, it's kind of a bit different to this one. But them remastering this, I think creating another opportunity to sell the same game with more improvements, importantly, accessibility improvements, which have proven to be incredibly important. The Last of Us 2 and Part 1 both benefited from the same accessibility improvements as far as I'm aware. And Sony seems to be flying that flag pretty strongly. So I think there's going to be a set of players out there that couldn't touch Horizon Zero Dawn, and now they'll be able to pick it up and play it because it will have the features they need to be able to get off the ground with it. And I think if that's the target audience, absolutely they should do a remaster or a remake or whatever it's going to be. I think if there's a lot of controversy around gamers in the market trying to complain enough without the opportunity to pay for a thing they don't want to try and affect how things happen. Like this is the Call of Duty cycle too, right? You've seen that meme where it's just a circle where Call of Duty players get their game, they play it. There's not a new game fast enough, so they complain about Call of Duty games not being quick and coming out. Then they complain about Call of Duty games being the games they are and terrible. And then those players buy the game again and play it the next year. Like that cycle is constantly happening. And I think gamers have far too short of memories if this is a controversial thing. I for some reason, I feel very strongly about this. I don't know why. I think I feel protective of game developers now when they make decisions like this, where they want to make a product and put their hard work into it, but the market is coming back and telling them that they don't want it, but they can't really justify why they don't want it because they don't want to spend more money. Okay, great. We're entering a recession. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to buy it.
Very true. And I mean, for the people that are fans, I really appreciate your perspective. I never even thought about it that way before. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
But yeah, for everyone that out there that has already played it, you can now play it on PlayStation 4. You can play it on PlayStation 5, and you can play it on PC. And you can play it for $60. You can go buy it for $5 like on PlayStation 4, or you can buy it full price on PlayStation 5 for $60. So yeah, this game doesn't apply for you. But for all those people that are gonna jump into this Netflix series that's coming up, it's gonna be new for them. They're gonna be exposed to a world that they've never knew about. And then in embracing that world, they're going to, of course, want to know more, and that can open them up into wanting to play the game. So why not have the most accessible and the best option in that beautiful PlayStation 5 box available to them, to where they can get the biggest bang for their buck, and it has all those features that we've got to experience and more. Game, like you said, game development is game development. And so, it does take work to bring these games to a better place. I don't always agree with the price tag, but you're not ripping off a person that's already played this game. You're not ripping off a person that has already had this experience. You've got your money's worth. So what is it to you to complain, to try to get them to lower the price? You're not going to be the person going out and buying the game again. So I'm just very much...
you will be. And
you might
all
be.
The points
Yeah.
you made were that, like 6 months ago, complaining about it existing.
Yeah.
What happened? What
Yeah.
changed?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely see it from both sides. I mean, if you want to put money down on a $70 game that came out 5 years ago, I mean, go right ahead. It's your money. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you how to use it. You know.
And they shouldn't be telling other people how to use their money either.
Yeah.
You know, the markets provide, and the
Yeah.
consumers consume.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
how capitalism works.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Definitely.
I was kind of hoping this would kind of touch on edge runners a little bit,
Oh
and
yeah, I was
how
totally going
awesome
to bring
that
that
is.
up. Yeah.
But I realize we're running out of podcast runway, and I haven't had a
Yeah.
chance to talk about it yet. So you can decide whether you'd like to open those gates or not.
Well, I will. I'm actually going to skip over it because you are very right. We are running out of time. We have.
So good. And watch Edge Runners. If you haven't already, even if you don't like Cyberpunk, I don't care if your tush is burned because of the game in the state that you played at the time. Edge Runners is back to classic anime. Perfect. Give it a look.
We have
There
talked
you go.
about it in our previous episode with Max, and I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, let's go ahead and keep it moving because we're not going to hit our main topic today. Let's just get that out of the way right now. So we're just going to keep on talking about games. We'll hit the release rundown. We'll go through the comments, and we'll wrap this episode. But in regards to our next topic, God of War Ragnarok has gone gold.
Gold.
There's not a lot of news right here, but I just wanted to really feel how you guys are feeling about this game actually coming out. It's not going to be delayed as far as we can tell right now. It's gone gold. It's going in the boxes. They are getting ready to ship. Matt, are you excited to just jump back into that universe? Are you excited about God of War?
Definitely. I'm excited. Not so much that I'd buy a PS5 for it, I think, because it is going to be the last bastion of games that has a PS4 release that may be enjoyable to some degree. But yeah, I'm excited for it. But I'm, of course, tempering my excitement. Not because of delays. Like, I think Corey Barlog, I saw Balrog on the internet the other day. That tickled me a little. Yeah, Corey Barlog has come out and said it's in a state where it's going to come out at the time that we said it was. And look, the fact that it's gold is no surprise, right? They already talked about the special editions. Pre-orders went up for those. They sell out enough. Of course, it's going to go gold. Highly anticipated game.
Mm-hmm.
It will measure up to the hype for sure.
Amazing. And Too Tall, same question for you, but just add on to that question. Do you think that God of War is going to take down Elden Ring in terms of the game of the year talk for the end of the year as we approach December?
It's gonna be a great conversation. I can't wait till next month and December when we start talking about our games of the year. It's definitely gonna come close. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be between Elden Ring and God of War Ragnarok, in my opinion. And then, am I looking forward to God of War coming out next month? Absolutely. Just it's gonna be another first party game for PlayStation coming out. And the fact that it's gone gold is definitely great. And it's making the developers look good. It's making PlayStation look good. They have a lot to be proud of right now. They're putting games out, and just yeah, nothing can stop them with this release date. And the only thing they can hope for now that would probably go wrong is a last minute delay at the very last minute, or the game coming out buggy, which it seems like these days just about every game comes out buggy. So I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But I mean, they're in full wheel motion right now. Going forward to the finish line for the rest of the year for the most part. So I mean, I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm very excited for the game of the year talk with God of War and Elden Ring. We all know it's gonna come down to those two games. So it's just a matter
Yeah.
of reading the reviews, what we think is better, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
oh, I'm just gonna say real quickly. Yeah, I don't think we have to worry about it coming out buggy. I mean, based on Sony Santa Monica's just previous
Mm.
launches and experience, I don't think we would have to. I don't think that would even be a concern, especially with it being a single player game.
Yeah.
we know
But
that
that's just
Sony first party does incredibly well. We know that
yes.
Sony third party, No Man's Sky, they kind of arm's length if it does go wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did that. Throw their own studio under. Like what
Oh,
the?
this guy? I haven't met this guy before. Sean
Yeah, that's kind of
Murray?
cold.
I've no.
So just one more question, and this will be for both of you real quickly. What do we feel like God of War has to do in order to just change the conversation to really solidify itself as a potential game of the year winner of this year? Differently, what do we feel like it has to do differently from number one? Because remember, God of War originally did get game of the year back in, I believe, what was it? How long has it been? 2017? Was it
Yeah, 5 years
2018.
ago,
2018?
2018.
Thank you. No.
You can go first, Matt.
Thank you. You've been playing a lot of God of War, haven't you? It's like it's in
Yep.
the back of your brain.
I
Uh,
have been. I'm ready. I'm like excited for this new game to come out. Yeah.
sounds like you're wondering what it's going to be like too. And look, I think it's such a good game that balances so many different things. Has excellent combat, excellent story. The pacing is well done. The characters excellent. Voiceover perfect. With this next one, big shoes to fill. I think the story will be going in places that will be incredibly interesting. I think they've got a real opportunity to expand on it, and I think that's where one of the biggest points that will show improvement on the previous. The way they're building on the combat as well, the layers they're adding. If you saw the Game Informer content from a little while ago, they
I've been
released
avoiding
some.
it. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Oh
fair
Yeah.
enough. Well,
boy.
I
it
have
would be
not seen it.
spoilers for combat. They talk about the accessibility in the game too, which is also going to
Mhm.
be a bit of a benefit. But the way that they're layering on top of the existing combat system is going to be interesting because we're used to as gamers them suddenly, oh no, he dropped his weapons in the lava and now he has to start again, and that's historic in God of War too as a franchise. Uh, but I think the way that they layer on the combat is going to be more interesting through the environments that exist. There's more types of enemies, different places. You're left wanting in the first game because there's half of the realms that you can't visit. You're going to be
Mhm.
visiting them now. And we also know that this is going to be the last of this set of God of War games, at least. So we're going to have a well rounded story. It's going to end, and there's going to be like a conclusion. I think all of
Mhm.
that bundled together, it's they've got a lot to work with. I think with the time that they've taken, the people on that team understanding the development that went on with the first game, I just I think they're going to back a winner no matter what. But there will be people that come out and complain about it.
Of
But
course.
you
Yeah,
know,
every game
it's all
has their
about what you
critics.
think.
Too tall. What do you feel like God of War Ragnarok has to do in order to solidify that spot?
Game of the year. What does that have to do? Just just I think it's just really come down to like the combat, the reviews, and just definitely the story. Seeing where it goes and all that good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of tough for me to answer this question. It's going to be very,
It's
very,
hard, right?
very, very, very close. And we
Yeah.
you know it, Matt, you know it, I know it. It's going to be very close.
I
It
Oh, I'm sorry. Continue what you're saying.
No, no, it may be too close to call that. It may be a tie. Who knows? But
No, there's no ties in this game. um, I think for me personally, when I think about what it's gonna have to do, like specifically, if I had to nail down one thing, I think is it has to wrap it up. Like as Matt mentioned, this is going to be a conclusion of sorts of this story, of this part of the series, of this of the you know Vikings mythology or the Norse mythology. So I think in terms of it ending, that conclusion is going to have to be something epic, satisfying. It's going to have to give you that feel, like you're going to have to feel just full. Like you have to just be like, okay, I got everything I want. I got more, and I'm excited to see where this goes next, and maybe even get a hint of where this is going to go in next. But it can't leave you on a cliffhanger. So I think just really wrapping up everything within this series is going to be the big part. And I think if it can't stick the landing, then it's not going to be able to usher that Game of the Year award. It's not going to be able to knock Elden Ring off of people's minds, so to speak. So I think that's going to be the biggest part for me. If they can really just tie it all in and really get it together for just that conclusion, I think everything else is going to be wonderful. The mechanics, the story, the characters. I think all of that is almost foreseen. I think we're going to get all of that. But I think for me, the biggest question mark is just, can they wrap it up so neatly, so wonderfully that you are just jaw dropped at the end and you just set down your controller and you just kind of lay back and just think. I just want that moment where I just like, what the hell just happened? Did that all that just really happen? I want to play the game again to experience that again, to just make sure I really saw and experienced what I just saw. And I think if they can give that moment, I think it's gonna be a shoe in.
Have you finished 2018 yet?
No, I have not finished 2018 yet. Yeah,
Not spoiling anything,
yeah.
but you will have that moment.
Hmm.
You will have it. And you may wonder, how do I get that again? And that could be the thing that has people unsure about Ragnarok. But it will happen again. I think you're right on the money. I think narrative is top. I think if the story
Yeah,
closes off well, it's going to be really good.
yeah. That's why we
Also,
play these single player games. Yeah.
Yeah.
exclusive for this podcast, Finest, we're going to have a chat on a spoiler cast on the Dead Drop about God of War, I think. I reckon.
Awesome.
I reckon it's burrowed into your brain somewhere, and we need to unpack that somewhere proper. So
Let's make it happen.
He's the
done.
man for the job. You know that.
Yep. I'll get you to finish it first because it is a spoiler cast. But
Yeah,
we'll
like
talk.
I'm gonna
We'll
drop
talk.
it down to easy, and I'm just gonna I need to finish a game because I'm gonna pick up God of War
Fly
day
through
one.
it.
Yeah,
They
Excellent.
won't pick up for you. All right.
yeah, day one pickup for me. Let's see, guys. The Cowabunga collection is getting an update. If you look back to episode, God, I don't even know what it was. The media glitch episode. If someone wants
Oh
to
yeah.
pull up what episode that is, I believe it was like 102. We
105, I
had
think. Is
105.
that what
Okay.
this one is?
Well,
We're at 107 today. Yeah, but we had an extensive talk about the Cowabunga collection and its downfalls, its shortcomings, and essentially they were listening. So the Cowabunga collection is getting a series of quality of life improvements. You're still not going to be able to play all the games online, but they're going to improve the netcode. um, they're also altering the save points. There's not going to be any new video filters. Let's see, and yeah, I don't know. There's a couple other things in here. Oh, they're allowing you to alter the D-pad options in terms of how you play. I think that's gonna be pretty much. Oh, you can change. Let's see the balance levels in terms of the game's volume. Um, let's see, and if I'm missing anything, you guys could let me know. But too tall to you, especially since you were on that episode with Media Glitch. Do we feel like our friends are going to be satisfied by
Mm,
by these
no.
updates? No.
No. I mean, it's Well, I mean, the only thing they're really complaining about is the online. I mean, regardless of what anyone tells me, this is a great collection of games. I mean, I'm not taking that away from Konami and Digital Flips at all, but what they were complaining about, is pretty much just the online, and then just playing a lot of these games, the beat 'em up style ones. You want to play these online. I mean, playing couch co-op is fun, but if I want to play this game with you, Finest, I mean, you live all the way in Arizona. I'm in California. It's like you're not around the block for me. So yeah, hopefully if they can get the online improved to the point, they said that they're going to improve the netcode. Let's see what they can do with that. But I
Hmm.
mean, I know they would like all the games to be online as would I, just until that happens, we'll see. And then there are a couple other things they can improve too, like the in-game menu music. It's just the same thing. Like let us change it up. Like come on, like just simple things like that. But I mean, otherwise, it's a really good collection. Like especially like the extra features in the Turtles layer. I mean, seeing all that stuff that Konami never released back in the day, pretty incredible. So, like I said, it's a great collection of games. Just they kind of just didn't deliver on what they advertised in terms of the online. So, but I mean, if you're not playing it online, if you don't care about the
Yeah.
online features, it should be fine for
Yeah.
you. I mean,
They are improving the online. So
yeah.
if anything, that is something for our friends to over at Media Glitch to celebrate about. Let's see. So Matt, I'm gonna actually skip you in terms of that topic, but this next topic.
Good, because I don't care.
We figured.
Well, I'm sending this next one your way, but let's see. The Cult of the Lamb wins big at the Australian Game Developer Awards. Let's see. So essentially, they've already named it their game of the year. Um, Matt, what do you think about this? Did you have opportunity to jump in Cult of the Lamb?
Yeah, I finished it to completion and maybe 75% of the game again because it was an it's just it's such a good game. It really is. It's also really interesting to hear how they developed it too, which might be why it did do so well at the Agdas.
Hmm.
But it just gets in there. Like you can't let it go. It's one of those games where you just can't stop playing. You're playing for a bit at like 10 p.m. and then you look at the clock again, it's 4 a.m. You just don't know how the time disappears. But it's an excellent game. But
Amazing.
to be fair, there's been a lot of good games coming out of Victoria, my state specifically, but also the rest of Australia as well this year. It's been a crazy year for Australian made games. Ridiculous.
That's amazing. Let's see. Before we move on, was there any other games that you wanted to notate that like have come out of Australia this year that you just want to highlight for us and our audience?
Definitely. Wayward Strand is one that came out a couple of weeks ago. Probably made it to the new release rundown here. That one is set on, I think it's an airship. It's a time-based adventure game where you talk to a bunch of patients as a teenage journalist trying to find out their stories, but you can only find out certain things as time passes and you miss out on other opportunities. So it's very much a branching story style thing. The artwork is excellent. The voice acting in it is brilliant. All Australian voices. So if you're a fan of the Aussie, that's a great one. That I don't think that made the Agdas, unfortunately,
Hmm.
but that's definitely going to be hitting people's top 10 lists this year, I think. The other one is Wildflowers, which the person that I interviewed for the spoiler cast on the Dead Drop, Kara, one of her good friends is a community manager on the development of
Oh.
that game. And that's on Switch and PC. Maybe it's on PC. I think it's on phone as well. It's on
Hmm.
iOS. That one is an exploration of living a lifestyle that's comfortable and chill. There's also a bit of witchy stuff going on in the background there. It's kind of a mixture of Stardew Valley and a kind of relationship simulator sort of thing, but really good chill vibes. Those are the big three. I can't bring any other ones to mind. One that does deserve a mention though that I didn't realize was Australian is Heavenly Bodies, which is an online co-op game where you have to move objects through a space station. And that got an award at the Agdas actually for excellence in sound design, which is really cool. Look, I want to talk about Australian dev so much. The Forgotten City last year,
Yeah.
that one Australian developed, that has been getting number ones all over the place since. it's a good time to be in
We're
Australia.
gonna
And
we're gonna have to write these down and put these in the game in the show notes. So for people to explore, absolutely,
yeah, chuck them in.
yeah.
And it's currently Games Week in Melbourne, and
Mhm.
PAX Australia is actually wrapping up today, I think.
Oh, right on.
So there's lots of great stuff. If you visit during Melbourne Games Week, you're going to get a lot of value out of that for sure.
Awesome.
But yeah,
And before we wrap up this particular topic, since we are short on time, just also want to notate that this game, Cult of the Lamb, also won awards in excellence in gameplay, excellence in music, and excellence in art. So just some notable things there. And this other game is dear to my heart. Let's see. So Dead Cells receives another massive update. Let's see. So in short, this game has received a ton of quality and of life improvements, but in regards to the specific update, I think the biggest thing is it's now getting a boss rush mode. And yeah, that's absolutely incredible. Other than that, the game's is receiving and introducing more modifiers, more power-ups, new weapons, new skills, new mutations, and you get to customize your own statue. uh,
how big can this game get? Seriously, there's so much
I
game in
Seems like
there.
it just keeps getting better and better and
they
better
said
every
they
time
said
I
they're going to
read
do
about
this
it.
pipeline for they have at least another year's worth of content. So 2023, they're just going to keep on releasing content for it. I mean, I'm just in awe of Motion Twin. Like, yeah, it's great. This game is a game that I could play every day, like right now. Like if I had no other games, I'd be fine. If like they just release this game in this date and I could just play it every day.
I
I'm
might
glad
buy
I
Dead Souls
suggested
for the
it to you.
Switch.
I
It's a
think you
great game to
But
should.
play
yeah,
on the Switch. It's a great game to play on the Switch, and I'm glad I suggested it to you, Finest, because you're looking for something to play. I remember that conversation we had. I said, well, how about Dead Cells? And you just ran with it.
I did, and haven't looked back since. It's such a great game. Let's see, what are we at right now? So we're a little over 2 hours. We're gonna go ahead and probably go for another 10-15 minutes if that's okay with you guys.
yeah,
We can
go ahead.
do. Yeah, I
Okay.
can do 10 more. Yeah, 15
We
more.
have to talk about the next story. We have to. Can't miss it.
we're
CD
we're
Projekt.
definitely going to talk about the next story. So CD Projekt Red announces future Witcher and Cyberpunk plans. Yeah, there's a kind of a lot to unpack right here, but I'm going to go ahead and start it out, and then I would love to hear from you, Matt, and then from you, Justin. But CD Projekt Red has announced 5 new projects: a new Witcher game, codename Sirius, by Molasses Flood, who's going to be developing the game. A new Witcher trilogy by CD Projekt Red. A new Witcher game, codename Canis Majoris, by a third party. Um, a new Cyberpunk 2077 game, codename Orion, by CD Projekt Red. They're in their new Boston studio, and an entirely new intellectual property, codename Hadar, by CD Projekt Red. This is big. We really don't see developers announcing, just multi-year plans. The only company that I can really think of in terms of games that did this was Bungie when they announced Destiny, and they said they were going to release these games, release Destiny content and release Destiny games over a 10-year cycle. Uh, I mean, Matt, really, there's so much to dive into, but please, anything that you're interested here, I'm happy to hear from you.
Well, I think we have to address that a lot of, and I will be doing this on the Dead Drop tomorrow as well, address that everybody feels like they're biting off more than they can chew. Like
Hmm.
they've everyone thinks they should be burned by their experience with Cyberpunk. They released the trailer in 2012. It took them, what was it, 8 years to come out with the developed game. It came out broken. There were hacks. There's been console stuff been a bad experience. Everyone's been burned, and then they come out with this, and everybody's like, "Well, this is too much. This studio can't even handle one game. Why can't? Why would they be able to handle 6 games?" But the minutia here is what we need to look at, and we have to remember these guys are a big studio. They're opening another studio in Boston to work alongside their third-party studio, the Molasses Flood. They're expanding, and they're moving the team into the US to be able to expand further. They're creating. They've postulated that, or not postulated. They've postured, I guess, that it's going to be a new Witcher trilogy in that new series. It's going to be 6 years after the first one of that trilogy releases that they'll be releasing the following 2. Phantom Liberty is the expansion to Cyberpunk that will be coming out on just next-gen stuff shortly. Then they'll have a sequel, which I think commonly it's been talked about that there won't be a sequel to Cyberpunk, because why could there be? That stuff is burned already. I think all of this is them telling the world, we're not done. We're kicking it back up. You guys obviously can't think past 2 years. We've had years and years of development that's been successful. And the whole Edge Runners Cyberpunk kicking up to beat off Steam records of concurrent player counts, simply because there was an anime that unpacked more of the story. They're not done. They are definitely not done. So anyone looking at this and going, I don't know, why did they do this? It's because they need to claw back some of that reputation. They need to tell the market that they are ready, that they are keen to get stuck in there again. They have more projects in the works. Unfortunately, the CEO has, or one of the co-CEOs has stepped down to take a less executive role in the company. But at the same time, a change in leadership, sometimes it's like a holiday. And, these games are going to come out. It's going to be learned experiences. It's going to be out to a fresh market as well. So I think things are looking great, even if you think they don't look good, just because of the last couple of years. Strong opinions from me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I love it. I actually, you're like a whole new Matt. I don't even know if I've experienced this, the all the other episodes that you run. So I'm glad that you're bringing it this one, because I don't know when I'll see you again. So keep on laying it on us. Too tall. When, or what do you want to take from this? What do you want to explain or express to our audience?
Well, maybe part of me just thinks that they're biting a little more than what they can chew. But
Just
that
what you
I
exactly
mean,
what
well, I
Matt
mean,
said.
yeah, I mean, well, there's 6 games, so it's just like, can they really handle all this? But I mean, I think one of the things I am looking forward to that new Witcher trilogy. That definitely looks pretty amazing. That they're not gonna do not one more Witcher game, but 3 more Witcher games. So if you really think about it, it's what 6 projects. You can add like 2 more. That's like 8 different projects, 8 different games, I guess you could say. Well, I guess Phantom Liberty is an expansion, but yeah, you know what I mean. So, I mean, we'll just have to just wait and see what they do. I mean, look at their timeline on when they'll get all this done. I mean, hopefully they get some more people in those studios, so people aren't waiting as long because Cyberpunk 2077 took years to come out and came out broken after 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know. I mean they've rebounded, but I know they don't want to have any more mishaps like they've been having, um, like they had with that game again. So that I think they part of them they do want to redeem themselves. Like hey, we're a developer. We can put out some great games, and don't forget about us. But I think the big thing here that I'm getting out of this is the new Witcher trilogy. I think that's gonna make or break them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Really?
So,
Yeah, I think
Justin.
so. Yeah.
So, I was saying Matt was asking you a question.
I'm really trying hard not to start a debate here, because we're allowed to have our own opinions.
Yeah.
You
So,
go, Finest.
I didn't hear you.
first of all, I'm going to say, and then I'm saying this to everyone that listens to this podcast and listens to other podcasts or just listens to video games. This isn't CD Projekt Red making 6 games. This is CD Projekt Red. They are making 3 games. They're expanding their studio. They're going to have a new studio. The one in Boston that they've already spoke to. That is going to be a full studio working on very much a first party big game. That game is going to have the grandiose of a Cyberpunk or a Witcher, so you could expect that. But they're not there. It's not CD Project Red initial, their original studio working on this. In addition to that, they're having two other studios that are going to work on these games also, that CD Project Red is not working on. As you see here, one is Molasses Flood, and then the other one, the Canis Majoris, is going to be another studio. And then you include the Boston studio taking on is that Phantom Liberty, I believe, that they're doing.
I
And
think they're
then
finishing that off and then jumping on to the sequel to Cyberpunk. I think that's what they've
okay.
said.
Okay, yeah. So essentially, there's four studios here. If you think about it, working on six games. I don't think we're gonna see what we saw from Cyberpunk. One, because I think they learned their lesson. At the time of Cyberpunk releasing, their shares were selling for about $30 a share. At this current time, they're selling for about a little under $6. So that's
Okay.
one aspect. This game, Cyberpunk, sold still over 20 million units, which is still a success. Them delaying their roadmaps, the negative publicity that they got, their shares dropping and investors losing all that money. I think money talks. They learned their lessons, so we're not going to see the same issues that we saw there. I don't think they're going to release a broken game and lose any more goodwill, because they've already experienced that. And I feel like any smart company that wants to continue being successful is going to really learn and just make sure that they handle everything appropriately. But Cyberpunk was also on their own engine. So they built their own engine from the ground up, which I think led to a longer development cycle. They have now announced that they switched over to Unreal 5. Um, so in terms of things breaking, assets, support, and things of that nature, they have Unreal to support them throughout that entire development process, to where they're not going to have to worry about all of those different things. In terms of feature sets, Unreal has been a leading engine and engine developer for years now, and a good portion of the industry uses their development kits to make their games, because it's so seamless, so easy. And right now, Unreal 5 is looking like it's going to really dominate the market. We're seeing more and more developers saying that they're going to develop their games on their systems, because it's just a more seamless process. It's so much easier. Even porting their existing games that they've been working on other kits, it's very easy, like almost a drag and drop, in terms of course it's not that easy, but it's that easy for them to bring their games over and then enhance their games. And we've seen this a lot of on the demos that we've seen. We saw it in the Matrix demo, but people have consistently will put out Spider-Man demos, Superman demos, and all these other tech demos on the Unreal 5 engine on YouTube. And they're developing these things in a matter of weeks and months. So don't think we're going to see any of those issues now that CD Projekt Red has switched over, that they've learned their lessons, and now that they're expanding their studio and their assets. Guys, is there anything you guys want to touch on right there before we move on to our next topic?
I think they announced a partnership with Epic Games with regards to using the Unreal Engine. So I think that's going to be like a very tight relationship. They're,
Oh
they're
yeah.
definitely going to be able to leverage that engine for all it's worth, I think.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the final product though that they're going to be using Unreal 5. So we've
Hmm.
seen images of that video of that earlier this year. So I mean, they can definitely make some good things happen with that. So I can't wait to see the final product.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same here. All right. So last topic before we do the release rundown. And we're not going to dig into this one. But we're just going to highlight it real quickly. Overwatch 2 dropped this week, and it dropped with a bang, more or less. It's been suffering a lot of DDoS attacks. It's being review bombed. People have not been able to play the game since release. It's experiencing just a lot of server issues, mostly, well, speculatively because of the DDoS attacks. Guys, have either one of you been able to hop into Overwatch? Are you excited to jump into Overwatch, or do you even care?
Oh, I don't really play Overwatch, but I mean, until they get the issues right with Overwatch 2, is there a way they can open up the Overwatch 1 servers again?
Look, I don't think they want to, even if it is a 40,000 person queue to get into a game, which I think at the very peak of those server issues is what it was. One thing that I do know that they have fixed is that they had an SMS protect function in there to stop dummy accounts and people messing with the game by creating smurfing accounts. But that's the technical term, apparently. And people had to have a certain phone number to be able to register the multi-factor authentication and then to be able to play the game. Apparently there was a lot of prepaid numbers that weren't allowed to. So
Yeah, this is true.
restricted access a bit, and they've apparently fixed that for some people.
Yeah,
But
to a degree.
yeah,
Yeah.
not too keen on Overwatch 2, to be honest. It's never been my jam, but I'll be keeping an eagle eye on it because Blizzard, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've never been big on it either. But that said, we're going to go ahead and skip our main topic once again. Maybe we can dig into that another day. We're going to go ahead and do the release rundown. I was going to have Too Tall take it away. Matt, would you be okay reading the release rundown for us today?
For sure. I can give it a crack.
Amazing.
All right, we have Asterigos, Curse of the Stars, coming out on PS5, PS4, and PC on October 11. We have Evil for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC, October 11. In Sound Mind, coming out on Switch. No More Heroes 3, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, October 11. Lego Brick Tales, all consoles and PC, October 12. Fueled Up, PS5, etc., PC, October 13. The Eternal Cylinder, I believe that's a remaster for next-gen consoles, PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, October 13, as well as The Last Auric Crew, also for next-gen consoles on October 13. Triangle Strategy, coming to PC after being released on Nintendo Switch, October 13 as well. Dragon Ball The Breakers, all consoles and PC, October 14. NHL 23, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, and Xbox One, October 14. Nickelodeon Kart Races 3 Slime Speedway, if you hadn't got enough of your cars yet. PS5, Xbox Series X and S. Actually, no, all consoles and PC. PGA Tour 2K23, because golf. PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, October 14, and the much anticipated Scorn. Horrifying Geiger adventure game, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC, and I know for a fact Game Pass Day 1.
Game Pass Day 1, definitely.
Be very interesting.
Amazing. Thank you so much for reading through that for us, Matt. You've already said that you're excited about Scorn. Was there anything else that you were excited for beyond that?
I'm very surprised that within 3 days we're going to have like 12,000 games to have a look at.
Yeah,
So I'm a bit overwhelmed at the moment.
Yeah, last week was like nothing coming out, and then this week it's like this, and next week it's probably going to be even more games. So it's like, yeah.
I think November will be the interesting month where we as gamers look at our gaming as work and we go, oh man, I need a holiday or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, my friends. So we're actually going to go ahead and wrap the episode. We're going to skip chat room also. But thank you to Autumn who wrote in today. Thank you to Fresh News 247 who wrote in today. Thank you to Ace Dubs, who also wrote in today. Let's see. And other than that, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show. Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment. And other than that, yeah, I would gonna happy to say goodbye. Thank you for
Don't-
listening to another
When
episode of
you
the Game and
comment-
Watch podcast.
Do not spoil the game for Finus. Keep an eye out for the spoiler cast on the Dead Drop with him and me. We'll talk about God of War. It's coming.
I think that's fair. Yeah, absolutely. Do not spoil it for me. I'm going to get through it pretty quickly from this point on because it's coming out really soon. God of War Ragnarok. So
Just put it on easy, man.
Brilliant.
I am once again, thank you for watching another episode of the Game and Watch podcast. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we'll catch you next week.